All right, we're back. So we're just looking at Bitcoin on Reddit right now. Another day, another Bitcoin win. Your money is now losing close to 1% of its value every 30 days, according to Labor Bureau data. Your money is now losing close to 1% of its value every 30 days, according to the Labor Bureau data. That's not good. The U.S. national debt just crossed $35 trillion. What happens if you pile it up in $1 bills? That's interesting. I'm going to look at that. If you stacked, okay, here's a question that I bet you've never asked yourself, but I'm here to provide some useless but fun ways to visualize the ridiculousness of the U.S. national debt. If you stacked $1 bills, the pile would reach to the moon and back 4.97 times. That's crazy. If you spent $100 every second, it would take you 11,000 years, over 11,000 years to spend it. That's crazy. And we're not even 35 trillion in debt. We're 230 trillion in debt. And the weight in 100 bills is equivalent to the weight of 5.51 cruise ships. That's so much money. Happy or not so happy, $35 trillion day. Supposedly, this is the last time the debt will be this low. Interesting. This is a funny meme. Bitcoin, door at 70K, busting in the door. All right. All climate energy bill. Looks like they're in, I don't know where, but they're accepting Bitcoin. Interesting. Smart people. All right, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to cancel out of this. I talked about the stock to flow model already. It's going to go from red to orange to yellow, and then from green to blue, and then it's going to repeat once it halves again in 2028. If we look at the halving cycle from inception, we can see that in 2012, November 2012, Bitcoin, yeah, I'll turn it off. Do you want to come say hey? Why not? No. Can't see anything. Oh. The camera's right here. So, okay. So Shauna Bear. All right, we'll introduce you in another video. We'll do some gardening or some shit, and you can talk about gardening. So Bitcoin halving was in November of 2012. The price was $12. $12. That's crazy. Do you wish you bought it at $12? Yes. Yeah, me too. So for 4 years, it went from $12 to $648, and it ebbed and flowed. In between that, it rose over $1,000 at some point. And then at the halving in 2016, and I wish it was 2016 right now. That would be amazing, but it's all good. We're here and now. $648. So it went up a log, 12 to 648. So we got one log here, boom, jumped a log. Jumped a log, boom, settled underneath a log. We got 4 more years, jumps up a log. So we have $650. It jumps up pretty much to 6,500 right here and settles at 8,500 in 2020 at the third halving. And then in April of 2024, what we can see, because this graph wasn't updated yet because it was before the halving, we can see that the price was about $65,000, which again is up another log from this value down here. So what we have in a 4-year period is, boom, jumping up a log. Power law, it makes sense. If we look at the Bitcoin halving dates, we can see this is just the beginning. I mean, we have currently, and I'll just go through this because it's a good example from Coin Index. And you're going to start to see a lot of stuff like cycle through and repeat. And that's because all this stuff is connected. You get one source of information from someone, and then that ties into someone else having an opinion about that. And then that ties into this, and etc. And before you know it, you're starting to see things over and over again. And you're starting to see patterns, and you're starting to make it make sense. What we can see right here, and what I just noticed is this is like somewhat similar to a power law. It's not a power law because it's not going down by a log, but it's going down by half. So half the supply, more demand. It's going to continue to get, smaller and smaller. In 2009, the Bitcoin halving rewards, or before the halving, the Bitcoin reward was 50 Bitcoin. Now it was 25 in 2012. In 2016, it was 12.5. In 2020, it was 6.25, and then in 2024, it was 3.125, or it is currently now. It's going to continue to divide in half until 2041 when all the blocks are done. So if we look at this chart, the rainbow chart, the power law chart, we can see the halving boom, 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 boom. What's going to happen in 2025? It's going to shoot up. That's when it's going to gap up and go into that upper echelon, the yellow, orange, and red phases. So we'll see how that happens. The halving dates, we can see that the first halving November 12th, or November 2012, second halving was July 2016, May was 2020, April 2024. The date, or the price was $12, $680, $8,500, $64,000. We can see that it's just continuing to go up in a positive manner. If we look at the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th halving, finishing up by 2060, we will be at block number 2,730,000. The block reward at that point will be 0.006 Bitcoin. 0.006 Bitcoin is approximately worth $390. $390 worth of Bitcoin today is going to be getting released every single time a miner solves a transaction. That's crazy. And it's going to go until 2140 when there's no more Bitcoin. Bitcoin inflation. And I'm just going to read this and paraphrase it from Coin Codex. Bitcoin is designed as a digital currency with limited supply. The current supply is 21 million, but that's why you don't hear people saying it's a deflationary currency, because there's only so many units. There's a finite supply, and you can't inflate it. With each halving, Bitcoin's inflation rate is reduced significantly. The chart below demonstrates how the Bitcoin supply orange and the annualized inflation rate blue will trend in the future based on the rules implemented in the Bitcoin protocol. So it's going to keep going down. It's like a power law, except it's not a true power law. I'm just saying, like, the angle of attack. The bottom line, after the 2024 halving, we can expect 28 more Bitcoin halvings, with the last one being estimated for the 2130s. Thanks, John. All right, so I'm just going to read this article from Bitcoin News and paraphrase it. So from 2009 to 2024, Bitcoin's 15-year evolution. So it's been showcased for the past 15 years. It's decentralized. It was founded and made by Satoshi Nakamoto, and its global impact is really going to be seen over the next few years as it continues to grow, and develop. So 15 years ago, a revolutionary idea was introduced to the world through a document titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It started and was founded on January 3rd, 2009. The message not only served as a timestamp, but also, and that's why I'm keeping timestamps of all the stuff that I do, because it's Bitcoin essentially, but it's not digital form. It's just make it a timestamp. The first known commercial transaction using Bitcoin occurred on May 22nd, 2010, when a programmer named Laszlo Yanis paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, an event now celebrated as Bitcoin Pizza Day. Laszlo paid 10,000 for 2 Bitcoin. That's crazy. Bitcoin's prominence began to rise in 2013 when its value surged from $13 at the beginning of the year to over $1,100 by December. How did I not hear of this stuff, man? It pisses me off so much that I didn't hear about this stuff in college. I had to have heard about this plenty of times. I'm not going to read all this. Okay, so this is an interesting graph. I never knew this. So Bitcoin legality. So United States good, Canada good, Brazil good, Australia good, Europe good, Africa not so much, China definitely not, Russia no, Kazakhstan no, India neutral no, and then some other places in South America. So in conclusion, and I didn't read the whole article, but 15 years after its creation, Bitcoin stands as a testament to the power of decentralized technology and the vision of its mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. So stay on top of Bitcoin news. We get weekly updates. Okay. Is Bitcoin haram? That's funny. Let's go to new. Coinbase is no longer allowing me to do ACH transfers. I asked why, and they told me they cannot discuss this further with me. Very strange. Anyone having similar issues? I feel like this is happening more and more and more. Black Cloud, I feel bad for you, man. I hope you figure it out. Coinbase originally told me that my bank is restricting me, but I called my bank, and my bank told me that there are no restrictions in place on their end. I contacted Coinbase again, telling them that I contacted my bank and that my bank confirmed that there are no restrictions on their bank's end. Coinbase replied that they apologized, but there was nothing they can do on their end. I can no longer do ACH transfers, and they cannot give me an explanation for their decisions as to why. Did anyone else experience this issue? I'm very curious why they're having this issue and are unable to provide me an explanation. The fact that they're not being transparent is concerning to me. Yeah, that sucks, dude. Yeah. I just use Cash App or Venmo, man. Interesting. Okay, so you got life, you're chasing all this money, you grab this money before you know it, boom, end. Let's look at these highlights.
Thank you so much for having us at the Crypto Olympics.
Not quite the Olympics, but the Bitcoin Conference 2024. Could Bitcoin really reach 49 million per coin? Let's hear from the experts and politicians who believe it can. And let's find out what went down at the Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. A Bitcoin event can't get bigger than this. It was a huge 3 days in Nashville with a lot of prominent guests and speakers from the Hawk Tour Girl, Russell Brand, Edward Snowden, Michael fucking Saylor, to a whole bunch of US politicians and lawmakers. In total, there were 6 US lawmakers that spoke and 2 presidential candidates with RFK Jr. and of course the highly anticipated Donald Trump. So the first day warmed us up pretty well with Robert Mitchnick, the head of digital assets at BlackRock, who gave us a bit of insight to how BlackRock foresees a bullish future for Bitcoin.
Well, I guess to the first part, before we'll come back to volatility, it's been quite remarkable the degree to which these ETF holders so far have been of a very long-term buy and hold nature, right? If you think about since January, there have been some pretty big pullbacks in Bitcoin. IBIT has had 1 day of negative flows in 6.5 months, right? And in fact, on a lot of the down days, we've seen net buying.
I don't like watching this. All right, I'm going to read this story because this is awesome. Okay, so I got in 2013 and bought 5 Bitcoin at $800. So 5 times 800. So that's $4,000 worth of Bitcoin. So 5 times 65,000. And I don't do public math. That's why I always use a calculator. It's $325,000. So good for you, man. So I'm a long-time holder through many ups and downs. I had a headwind here that an adjustable interest rate on my house was about to skyrocket from 2.75 to 7.875%. So I cashed out my Bitcoin to pay off my house remaining mortgage. After the banks owning my home for 30 plus years, the feeling is amazing, refreshing, and I want to thank this community of believers who helped me along the way. I so nearly sold many times, and here I am with my very own house. With the increased cash flow, I'll be raising my DCA every month and buying more. I remain a huge believer and never felt more positive about the future for Bitcoin. Buying Bitcoin has been the smartest financial decision I have ever made. I bought 4 Bitcoin at $500 in 2014. Since then, I have bought an amount every year. The return over 10 years has been something like 12 times my investment. Until 2021, my motto was I buy Bitcoin, I don't sell Bitcoin. I did, however, cash some out of my holdings in 2021. I used the proceedings to pay for college and all 3 of my children. Pay for college for all 3 of my children. It is a huge generational change. I had ancestors who were slaves and for whom it was against the law to teach to read. In my parents' generation, my mother was the only one out of 5 afforded the opportunity to attend college. All of my children graduated. We fought hard for civil rights, which made the opportunity available, but because of inflation, it did not make it affordable. Bitcoin did. Wow. People are cheering for you here, but you did make a mistake. If a fixed mortgage rate is available to you once the rate comes down, convert your equity to Bitcoin ASAP. Converting home equity to higher returning assets was profitable even before Bitcoin was invented, except back then. Capital tied up in an expense like a house will never maintain value the way that the stocks will, and of course real estate won't even protect you a fractional value of Bitcoin will. Feeling good in your decision is the main thing, but remember that guy that bought a pizza? Now he probably would have conceded for the Bitcoin. It seems very likely to have been better to renegotiate the mortgage down to 7.0 and pay it from Bitcoin. See Bitcoin 4-year average, 7% year is chump change relatively. Here's another quote that I thought was interesting from Judy Garland. Always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Yeah, fuck trying to be someone else. Be yourself. Let's go back to Twitter. So this is so the U.S. government per Trump will keep 100% of current Bitcoin it holds as a national strategic reserve, and this is per Bitcoin archive. Read that earlier. Justin, Elon Musk is now following El Salvador's president. Interesting. That's awesome. Hong Kong lawmaker pushes to include Bitcoin in strategic financial reserve. Biden says there will be a rate cut before the end of the year. If Biden and Harris are really selling the 200,000 Bitcoin the Department of Justice holds after Trump committed to keeping it as a strategic stockpile, that's going to make Trump double down on his business or on his bullishness. I can just imagine Trump saying, I will smash by 400,000 Bitcoin. Funny thing is, they think lower prices bother us. Definitely doesn't bother me. Justin, University of Wyoming launches Bitcoin Research Institute. People doubting that Bitcoin can smash 200K in short time. Just remember, NVIDIA went from 1.3 trillion current market cap of Bitcoin to 3.3 trillion in just 3 months. Big moves can happen fast. If Bitcoin did the same, it would break 180,000 just after Christmas. Wow. Yep, I think we're going to move some other assets around and buy some more Bitcoin. Justin, the global acceptance of Bitcoin is constantly increasing, and Bitcoin is seen by the public as digital gold. Hong Kong lawmaker Johnny G. Bitcoin is pushing for a strong monthly close. After that fire, watch for ETF demand to be hot after Trump's weekend speech. This thing could be a big week. Senator Loomis proposes U.S. buys 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. That's 685 Bitcoin every single day for 5 years. Wow. God, I wish it was 2016 or 2011. That would be nuts. I would just put all of my lifeguarding money into Bitcoin. All right. That was the most important speech in Bitcoin history. Donald Trump will convert 200,000 Bitcoin currently held by the Department of Justice into a national strategic reserve worth $13.4 billion. That's the starting pistol for the nation-state adoption. The race is on. If the United States buys 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years, as proposed by Senator Loomis, that would take 547 Bitcoin every single day. The current daily new issuance of Bitcoin is only 450. That does not include corporate adoption, institutional investors, state governments, and municipalities in the USA only. Then every other nation and their institutions will scramble to buy Bitcoin too. Then there's individual adoption of Bitcoin growing every single day. Keep stacking. It will happen faster than you think. Justin, Louisiana governor wants his state to have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin. Louisiana is the state leader in Bitcoin, banning CBDCs, centrally banked digital currencies. Yeah, CBDCs, and protecting self-custody. We should continue to lead by having a strategic reserve of Bitcoin, like Donald Trump suggests. Imagine selling the news on Trump's speech, the most bullish speech in Bitcoin history. Let's see this bad boy. 66,000 to 69,000. Yeah, pretty bullish. What would be more bullish is it going to 600,000. Senator Loomis proposes U.S. buys 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. That's 685 Bitcoin every single day for 5 years. Hell yeah. Let's see what Bitcoin Magazine has got to say. No, the University of Wyoming has established a Bitcoin Research Institute, making the first academic institute dedicated to Bitcoin studies. Nice. Dude, that's going to be crazy if it like becomes a new like major in college. I study Bitcoin. Yeah, it's probably going to happen. Time to settle the debate. What is better? Do we want cash? Do we want gold? Or do we want digital gold, aka Bitcoin? The Winklevoss twins. We're going to free Ross. We're going to fire Gary Gensler. We're going to make America and Bitcoin greater than ever before. Justin, $35 trillion in debt. That's $103,000 per every single American.
Is a neutral currency, that it is apolitical. What if some people are watching this out there in their homes in America and they see President Trump embracing Bitcoin and now they see it as something that's going to be used as a conservative tool, that maybe they should oppose it just because?
I don't know why that's going so fast. Based on current market trend, it is possible that Bitcoin may reach up to $100,000 by end of 2024 and could potentially surpass $200,000 by the end of 2025. Unfortunately, he said it's unlikely Bitcoin's momentum in 2023 and 2024 will continue indefinitely. What the fuck does he know? I'm telling you, these institutions that hold a lot of Bitcoin, they're going to take over and become banks. They are going to take over Wells Fargo, Capital One, Bank of America. All these huge banks are going to get taken over by these corporations like MicroStrategy and others, Tesla, that have a ton of Bitcoin, and Block and Twitter. Let's see if I can find something else interesting. Yep, just look up Michael Saylor on YouTube. Go through several videos. He talks a lot about stuff. Let's type in Bitcoin presentations. Presentation PDF. University of Miami. Wow. God, I wish it was 2012. That's crazy. Yep, supply and demand, log. the difficulty of the mining is getting harder. The price is going to go up based on the difficulty. Common question: will Bitcoin replace fiat currencies? Let's see what this dude thinks. Most likely no, because the too volatile price cannot compete as a store value currency in the long run. Why? Considering the high transaction costs. What transaction costs? The government just moved $2 billion today for 66 cents. I mean, get the fuck out of here. Moreover, an ideal replacement for an existing fiat currency that will economically function as a proper rate of exchange will lose its appreciation slowly over time. Okay, compared to what? Which is not the excitable Bitcoin or its alternatives. Right, whatever, dude. Good luck. God, I wish I listened to people about Bitcoin in 2018. I'd be so rich right now. All right, so we're gonna do a presentation by Luke Fior, Bitcoin 101. Thanks, Luke. I appreciate you letting me read this. Bitcoin 101. Okay, so Bitcoin story. So you heard about Bitcoin in the fall of 2017. You bought some in 2017 in December near the peak. Okay, so you got other altcoins, lost about $800. Over the next 3 years, I continued to monitor and learn about Bitcoin and would buy periodically. Didn't have that much as a college student. Went all in on Bitcoin from August 2020 to November 2020 at roughly 12,000 a coin. Continue to buy as much as I can afford every 2 weeks and treat it as my savings account. One Bitcoin equals $30,000 at the current moment. So what is money? And I think this is going to get into the Bitcoin standard, which is pretty interesting. So I'm just going to read this because it's a good slide and we'll kind of critique it and go through it. So money is a construct that humans created to avoid the problems that came from direct exchange, otherwise known as barter. Money is a form of technology or a tool. There are three main functions of money. So it's a medium of exchange, it's a store of value, and it's a unit of account. I'm not going to go through the entirety of this, but store of value, hard money, easy money. A great unit of account is easily divisible. For example, $1 is divisible into 100 cents, correct? Okay, so examples of goods used as money. So we had cattle, she sells, ray stones, agri beads, bronze and copper, gold and silver coins, fiat, US dollars, dollars, euros, won, Bitcoin. Store of value. Gone over this before. Fed is created 1910 or whatever date it is based on the chart. 100% value. Fed is created. Boom. Instantly drops off. That's not good. FDR created an executive order making gold illegal. Nixon goes off the gold standard in 1973, and we can see the 2008 financial crisis. I mean, the dollar's just going down, down, down. So yeah, sure, you have $5 million in your account, but what does that really entail? What does that really mean? Your house is worth $1 million. What does that really mean when the bubble crashes and shit hits the fan? So the dollar's purchasing power is getting smaller. I'm not going to read all this. Purchasing power in 1929, $20 used to buy you a ton of groceries. In 1960, it bought you a little bit, and then 2014, it was even less. And then it's similar to the houses. If you look at Bitcoin, we can see that in 2012, one Bitcoin only bought a little bit of groceries. In 2013, it bought a lot more groceries, and in 2014, it bought even more groceries. So it's deflation. So instead of inflation, it's deflation. It's protecting you from the Federal Reserve since 2009. Reserve currency does not last forever. Okay, so Bitcoin history, the first paper was released in October. Bitcoin peer-to-peer cash system, Genesis block was mined. Received 10 Bitcoins, first transaction. Laszlo, 10,000 Bitcoin, man, sorry to hear that. It's the result of 40 years of research, development, and demand. Okay, I'm not going to go through that. Okay, so those pizzas that dude bought, 10,000 Bitcoin, that'd be worth $300 million. I would have rather had the Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency without a bank or a single administrator that can be sent from user to user on the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need for intermediaries. Transactions are verified on the network nodes through cryptography and recorded in public distributed ledger called the blockchain. Bitcoins are created as a reward for the process known as mining. Bitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoin. As of 5/9 and whenever he made this presentation, 19 million have been mined or in circulation. Every 10 minutes or so, a new block is mined. So the difficulty adjusts every 2016 blocks or every 2 weeks, and so it takes about 10 minutes to mine a block no matter how good the technology gets. The last Bitcoin will be mined in 2140. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin goes through a halving process, and the one block is cut in half. As of today, the miners were 6.25 Bitcoin, so this is old because it was back in 2020. Yeah, now it's 3.125. That equates to 900 freshly minted Bitcoin every day. Next halving will be in 2024. Yep. And we can see, similar to this price, the housing, you used to not be able to buy a house in 2011, and now you can buy a house for almost 1 Bitcoin. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so Bitcoin is bad for the environment. Bitcoin wastes energy. Critique: Bitcoin's mining process is extremely energy intensive and therefore wasteful. Rebuttal: Bitcoin's energy spend is required to do 3 things. Fairly distribute new Bitcoin according to Bitcoin's monetary policy. Allow anyone to participate in the Bitcoin network on the footing, and create the security assurances around Bitcoin's transaction settlement. Any financial system will have certain properties and guarantees, and they will never come for free. Okay, so Bitcoin consumes 140 terawatt hours per year. Christmas lights consume 6.6 terawatt hours per year. Banking systems, even more. So everything else, Bitcoin is a small sliver. What makes it valuable? Finite supply, 21 million, decentralized, no single point of failure, permissionless opt-in system. 1 Bitcoin equals 100 million Satoshis, no intermediaries. Yep, can send any amount of money anywhere in the world in 10 minutes. So if you're in the US and want to buy a house in Japan, boom, what's your address? You got my Bitcoin, I own that house. It's never been hacked, censorship resistant, strong community of individuals, network effects, the more the merrier. Yeah, it's like Facebook. More users join Facebook and Facebook grows in size. And then more users join Facebook and Facebook grows in size. Condo in Trump Soho, 25,000 Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin equals $110. 2 pizzas, 10,000 Bitcoin. Miami Mansion, 455 Bitcoin. Tickets to space, 450 Bitcoin. Tesla S, 91 Bitcoin. PayPal will allow all 29 million of its merchants to accept Bitcoin for goods or services. Wow. Bitcoin as a medium of exchange in El Salvador. As of September 7th, 2021, El Salvador now recognizes Bitcoin as legal tender. All merchants in El Salvador must now accept Bitcoin, even companies like McDonald's, Starbucks, and Pizza Hut. That's awesome. In 2021, Bitcoin transacted anywhere between $2 billion to $11 billion in value every day. That's a lot of volume. Not going to look at that. You can own a part of Bitcoin, yeah, because you can break it up into 100 million Satoshis. Where can I buy Bitcoin? Coinbase, first publicly listed exchange. Yeah, but they can have problems. Cash App, it's a great place to buy. Kraken is good. Gemini is good. I've never used it. Yeah, Bitcoin was used to buy drugs back in the day, but I wish I was back in the day, spending my money on Bitcoin instead of going to Wendy's for lunch and stuff when I was lifeguarding. Yeah, governments can't ban it. Bitcoin is dead. Yeah. Psych. Let's look at another one. I don't feel like reading this. That's too much. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one.